Okay, I went to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 yesterday. Unlike the last time I went to the cinema for a video, the Melania Trump movie, the theater was absolutely packed. Now, the film itself is entertaining and enjoyable. It tries to make a point about culture and journalism resisting corporate greed, embodied by the blue vest-wearing son of Runway magazine's main investor. Corporate greed and the creator economy are depicted as the main threats to Runway's longevity. The magazine is framed as more than just a publication, it's a vision people are expected to dedicate their lives to, even at the cost of friendships and relationships. It's a vision of what beauty and fashion should be in an age where social media has decentralized authority. In fact, and light spoiler in 3, 2, 1, the magazine's success no longer comes from its features, but from its ability to secure the right celebrity interviews paired with a bit of gossip. This echoes criticisms of recent Vogue covers, which often struggle to showcase creativity and instead stick to the good old celebrity on the cover formula. However, those honest criticisms aren't really explored in the film. Instead, the movie asks us to support Runway as the last line of defense against the destruction of culture, the arts, and journalism by corporate money. Personally, I would rather support new voices emerging from places that reject elitism and the top-down vision of fashion that people feel increasingly detached from. You see, to save an institution, it needs to show that it actually cares about what it does. In the movie, Miranda doesn't seem particularly concerned about the corporate takeover. She takes things as they come. Meanwhile, Andy, whose new job is on the line, sacrifices everything to keep Runway going. Andy feels more relatable. Girl bossing isn't a lifestyle choice, as Miranda suggests at the end, but an obligation in an increasingly demanding job market. The Devil Wears Prada 2 had the difficult task of recapturing the energy and glamorized girl boss aesthetic of the original while acknowledging that things have changed and in many ways have gotten worse. In my opinion, it only partly succeeds. Both the problem and their proposed solution remain capitalism. Evil capitalism versus good capitalism. It's kind of like the Barbie movie in that respect. Meanwhile, the relationships between characters and the structure of work remain unchanged. And let's be honest, The Devil Wears Prada wouldn't be as entertaining without its dose of exploitation and sadistic workplace dynamics. We somehow love watching women get psychologically abused, don't we? Disney and marketers spent close to $200 million to make us see Andy suffer just a little bit longer. And people are showing up. Women like me are showing up. The movie has had a huge opening weekend at the box office, making $233 million worldwide from an overwhelmingly female audience, The Guardian reports. So why this fascination for personal assistants? A fascination for people serving the insufferable, rich and famous? Let's unpack this in this video. In this video, we'll unlock 4 words, allowing me to explore 4 elements of this fascination with personal assistants in culture and society in general. These 4 words are recognition, romanticization, gifts, and truth. They all sound mysterious, that's done on purpose. The text we'll use throughout this video is this one, Servir les riches, serving the wealthy. And good news, people, this is being translated into English. You'll get access to that knowledge very soon, but for now, let me be your guide. I first had the idea to make a video on people who work for the rich when I saw a reel on Instagram showing a young female tennis instructor working for a very wealthy family. I was a tennis instructor for 7 years in small countryside clubs in the north of France, and that video reminded me of what some of my colleagues who worked on the coast experience working for wealthier people. We weren't paid much in the countryside, people there were mostly working class or middle class, so we'd envy those tennis instructors paid huge amount of money to train bold, rich housewives, let's be honest. I worked as a babysitter as well for a while and was once hired by a family who lived in such a gorgeous house on a hill. I remember trying to stay cool while the owner was showing me around the house. I remember posting a picture of the view from a bathroom on Instagram, pretending I was on a fancy weekend trip or something. Is it wrong to do that? I don't think so. Anyway, working for wealthy people is a source of curiosity and fascination, especially for those who aren't familiar with them. The Devil Wears Prada's success reflects that. Equally on social media, serving the wealthy is a popular content niche, and in recent years, personal assistant content has drawn a lot of that attention. One creator called Victoria Hegel has developed a strong fan base of individuals who watch for entertainment or because they wish there were personal assistants too.
This is a day in the life of a personal assistant in New York City. This is a day in the life of a personal assistant in New York City. This is a day in the life of a personal assistant in New York City. My boss wants a new dress for a holiday party she's going to. It needs to be dark green, long, and under $400.
In her videos, Victoria shows herself walking around New York City like Andy in The Devil Wears Prada to get coffee, dresses, and accessories for her mysterious client.
We're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, on to the next. We're here.
I find Victoria's voice very soothing. But anyway, like Andy, Victoria came to New York with a dream to become a musician. The problem is that only a few can make it, and in the meantime, bills need to be paid. That's how Victoria became a personal assistant out of necessity. Personal assistants often work for multiple clients to make ends meet.
Can I ask you what you do for a living?
Personal assistant.
And roughly how much you make on a monthly?
Annually 27 grand.
Do you think you're paid fairly for what you do?
No.
One day, though, Victoria decided to film a day in her life as a personal assistant, and the video blew up, quite literally. Victoria shared that the validation she received from that video made her reconsider the nature of the job she was doing. She understood that despite the repetitive tasks, the unpredictability, and the rather low pay, her job was seen as valuable, as a source of praise and recognition. She was working for high-profile individuals, after all. We grew up learning that these people do important things. Now, Victoria's shift on perception echoes many studies on how external recognition improves a worker's perception of their job. The more you feel recognized by management and society in general, the more positively you perceive your job. That makes sense. When I get praise from you guys, that makes me feel like I'm doing something important, you know. This is what happened to Victoria. People praised her for the job she's doing. People wanted to do the same, called her lucky, and asked how they could also become personal assistants. In her study of domestic workers, Alizée Delpierre explained that people working for the wealthy derive pride from their work because they understand it as essential to the success of their bosses. And they are right. The labor of domestic workers, the admin, the cooking, the cleaning, allows bosses to focus on the work that produces wealth. In an article by Forbes titled "Why a Personal Assistant Should Be Every Entrepreneur's First Hire," the author quotes a passage from venture capitalist Mark Suster's blog defending that hiring a PA is essential for business growth. Quote, "While I'm passionate about being scrappy when you start and controlling your costs, I'm equally passionate about performance when you have a bit of cash. Think about it, your single most valuable asset in the early days is your senior team, and presumably nobody is more valuable than the founding team. And you're bogged down in expense claims, booking hotel rooms, scheduling meetings, dealing with a leaky toilet, processing payroll, ordering computers, etc." The article concludes by saying, if you don't have an admin, you are an admin. A CEO shouldn't be dealing with a leaky toilet. A personal assistant should. But that's not what you see in PA content online. Victoria's content, for example, is a very romanticized presentation of her personal assistant's job. I'm not surprised people want to do this. I mean, if you can't afford the fancy bags, you can at least pretend with someone else's wallet. But other creators like Awa give a more honest take on what it's like to work as a PA, like having to take a 30-hour return flight last minute only to stay at the place for 24 hours, or how much of the work is done remotely and centers on doing boring admin. You guessed it, Awa's videos don't get the views that romanticized PA content gets. However, I did find that viral video from Cowley Fancy in which she rushes to get stuff done across New York City with the soundtrack Sex of the City, warning her viewers that if they want to be PA, they're gonna have to get used to the hustle. You could think this would deter people from becoming a PA, but the way this video is made kinda does the opposite. Am I right? On the one hand, you have Awa being realistic about being a PA, and on the other hand, you have what looks like a clip directly taken out of The Devil Wears Prada or Sex and the City. So again, a form of romanticization, this time of the hustle and girl bossing. In fact, the real work of a personal assistant for celebrities and high-profile individuals tend to be either admin-heavy, as it is the case for Awa, or domestic work-heavy.
Then I drove everybody to Van Nuys, and you guys, our plane got parked right next to Taylor Swift, so that was kind of cool. Another day in the life as a personal assistant in beautiful Miami, Florida. Our housekeeper had to have surgery, so I stepped in and had to do all of the steaming and packing for 2 upcoming trips. He's going to London tonight, and then we had to pack a separate bag for a trip to LA next week.
In the case of Mormon wives from The Real Lives of Mormon Wives and their crew of PAs, it's almost entirely domestic work.
Today is a packed day. I have a couple errands running around town, and my goal is to make it one big trip. So we were packing all of Jesse's extra clothes to go sell today. There's also a big bag of gifts to take to the salon, and I'm counting all the cans to go restock the fridge today. For our first stop, we were headed to Jay-Z Styles. Jesse has quite the collection collection of hydro jugs that she wanted to share. While the stylist scrambled through the hydro jugs, my task is to open any PR that came for Jessie, discard of any of the boxes, and to clean up and organize her office to give it a little bit of a refresh.
This is the fall of the West. Moment wives are outsourcing their mommy duties to teenage TikTok content creators.
What happened to your homestead? Do you think women belong in a home?
I'd still love to do that, but can I have somebody else do it for me? Does that make sense?
No.
I want to live it, but I want someone else to take care of the plants and the animals. And
you want to enjoy a homestead, but with servants.
Paid
servants.
Help in the house.
Who take care of the animals and you just enjoy the beautiful scenery.
I would love that.
Got it.
Jokes aside, this is actually a pretty interesting phenomenon. In the process of developing their careers, the Mormon wives can't keep up with the high demands of domestic life, which they are supposedly naturally assigned to. But this isn't limited to Mormon wives. Women in general are disproportionately and unequally in charge of domestic work, which gets added on top of their day job. So those of them who can afford to outsource it without facing stigma do so. They relegate those tasks to mostly other women who are younger or less fortunate than them. So the domestic work is still mostly done by women, but working class women. And with the rise of platforms like TaskRabbit or HelpLink, which lets you book a domestic worker for one-off jobs, this phenomenon is accelerated. As we know, these platforms are often exploitative. This is the gig economy. According to TaskRabbit's on support and terms pages, taskers are independent contractors, not employees, which affects benefits and protections. I saw on TaskRabbit's blog that they like to promote female taskers. That was the case for the 2021 International Women's Day, a celebration which began in the early 20th century out of labor movements, socialist organizing, and campaigns for women's political rights. That doesn't seem to be TaskRabbit priority though, as this Reddit user and tasker argues. Quote, "I've been on TaskRabbit long enough to see the pattern. The platform keeps tightening the screws on taskers while pretending we're independent. Fees go up, rules get more strict, support gets worse, cancellation scams waste our time, and we're expected to just eat it because ratings? I mean, what to expect from a CEO who used to work at Uber Eats? Same tactics." Interestingly, in her study of domestic workers, Alizée Delpierre noticed that the work of managing domestic workers in wealthy families was often relegated to the wife, who turns into a mini manager. That means that even though the work is outsourced, it continues to be seen as the responsibility of the wives, of the mothers. I mean, I'm sure many of you who've been babysitters at some points in your life will relate when I say that my points of contact with all the families I worked with were mothers or grandmothers. I remember once the grandfather came back from I don't know where and was terrified to see a stranger, aka me, in his house. He didn't even know his wife had hired a babysitter. That was none of his business. However, people who serve the rich for long periods of time aren't treated as strangers or even workers. Many of them are described as family by their bosses. They often live in the house or spend a lot of time there. They handle sensitive personal matters. They know many of the family's secrets. In her video explaining how her boss let her go, Victoria Hegel shared that her client was like family.
Because she had become my family.
Similarly, Stephanie, so Kim K's former PA, they described Kim as a friend.
I was crying, she was crying, like it was a whole, because we are friends.
Now, being part of the family or being a friend doesn't mean the PA and their boss are on the same level. The hierarchy is still there. The framing of family or friendship can actually be used as a way to blur a worker-boss relationship into something different. You see, a worker might resist working overtime, but a friend is always there for you, right? That brings me to the next topic I want to touch on, gifts. When you look at viral PA content on social media, a comment that often comes up goes something along the lines of, do you ever get gifts? Viewers want to know if Victoria and other PAs get access to the designer collections of their clients. And some do. Gifts are an interesting component of the domestic work PA economy. Bosses, especially celebrity bosses, do get a lot of free stuff, free bags, free beauty products that they probably won't use. According to Alizée Delpierre, gifts can be a way to differentiate yourself from other bosses, to buy a worker's silence on things like a dispute or cheating, or simply to reward a worker for good service without increasing their pay. In return, the gifts make the worker feel like they are in some ways part of a class of people they don't really belong to. They can use them to signal wealth to other members of their social class, to signal a higher social status. Speaking of social status, I kept noticing something under the videos of the Mormon wives PA crew content. Look, they regularly comment on them. Under the video I showed earlier of the unboxing, Macy Neely commented commented, quote, "Me watching to see what I got." 2,000 people liked this comment. Under another video where Macy's and Jesse's PAs collaborated, Macy commented once again saying, quote, "Investing in a studio for you guys ASAP." That comment got 37k likes. Here's another comment from Jesse this time saying, quote, "I'll be lost without you." 58.6k likes. I mentioned the number of likes because likes are basically social validation, and social validation, Alizée Delpierre explains, is a big reason why wealthy families hire domestic workers and PAs in the first place. In her book, Delpierre describes the experience of newly rich families who felt the pressure to hire domestic workers and assistants to signal wealth. Old money families feel like they are entitled to domestic workers. This is part of the decorum for them. But for newly rich people who probably used to do those domestic tasks themselves, having assistants signals high social status, social mobility. It's not surprising to me that more and more Mormon wives are getting PAs. They are often interacting with each other, and people compare them online all the time. If the other Mormon wife has a PA and you don't, you look like someone who can't afford one. Here's another video of a super wealthy woman explaining how much she pays her personal assistants. This is framed as some form of guidance, but the reality is that this is the same sort of content as guys storing the ground floor of their houses where they store all their cars. It's the same thing. Social status is everything for these people. Old money people want to maintain it, new money people want to earn it. But that obsession with social status can lead to bad outcomes for workers, as they become just another commodity, a medium through which bosses can increase their social status. Here's Tyler, for example, a former PA who worked with high-profile individuals like Sofia Amoroso, the founder of Nasty Gal and writer of Girl Boss. He worked also with the Baldwin family and Chynna Phillips. In a series of videos, he shares the reality of the job and the pressure put on PAs by certain celebrities whose names he doesn't reveal.
And there really is like a community of people who have been an assistant. We all pretty much know what it takes and what it took to do that job. That job requires you to live someone else's life for them. You become whoever you are working for. After almost 10 years of doing that, it almost broke me.
From his videos, you see how all the things we talked about earlier, the gifts, the flexibility, the family-friend structure, can be used against workers to exploit them, to take advantage of them.
In LA especially, there are people who are on such power trips because they are on such a pedestal that they lose that human aspect. And like I said earlier, it can break you. And I have been broken many, many times. I am still unlearning a lot of things from my assistant days, like checking my phone every 5 seconds to see if their name popped up, or hearing their ringtone and getting a freeze response. I'm still unlearning so much of that assistant trauma.
Tyler's videos matter because they become a space for other PAs to share their experiences. Quote, "I truly honestly do not miss being an executive assistant. I did it for 2 years and it broke me. I feel so much happier and healthier now. And you're right, any mistake felt like the world was ending. I thought I was getting fired every other day." Others shared they felt they had to have their phones next to them 24/7 for emergencies, that being a PA ruined their relationships and friendships.
How your personal lives fared when you were in Anna's office.
It was kind of a conversation I had to have with the people in my life at the time of like, okay, if I take this job, this is what it will mean, you know, for my friends, for my family, every relationship I had at that time. While your friends might not get to see you as much, I was very lucky in that I had supportive people in my life who were able just to come over on the weekends and sit with me at home while I just sat on my computer.
This is again reminiscent of the experiences Alizée Delpierre describes in Serving the Wealthy. It's glamorized, romanticized, but it's tough. It's also tough to experience such wealth inequalities on a daily basis and regularly be reminded that you'll never truly belong to this world you were allowed to enter on a set of conditions. Some of those conditions are explicitly written in PA's contracts, one of them being that the PA cannot reveal the name of the person they worked for or cannot share anything negative about the people they worked for. That's why videos like Tyler's are very hard to find. When a PA publicly praises their celebrity boss online, keep in mind that they are probably legally bound to do so. They can only say neutral or good things about them. So yeah, as much as I enjoy watching PA content online or The Devil Wears Prada, I think it's important to keep in mind the reality of the job. Serving the wealthy comes with its own challenges, and becoming a PA has become a way for young women out of university to secure a position in the competitive job market, like Andy, but not all stories work out like Andy's. As Steph, Kim K's former PA, explained, it is difficult to get rid of that PA association and do your own thing, especially when you worked for celebrities. Victoria was let go by her boss, who judged that given how great she was doing online, now was the time to pursue music.
And spoiler alert, I actually didn't quit. My boss fired me.
Victoria reassured her audience by telling them that she'll keep picking up things for her former client and for her friends. But is it really going to be the same? I'm not sure. I think people, especially women, enjoy watching The Devil Wears Prada or PA content as a way to externalize their own struggles with management, their bosses. The romanticized servitude feels almost cathartic. Ultimately, we are all taken advantage of by those above us, and seeing someone else go through it can feel strangely relieving in a deeply sadistic way. And also, we tend to assume that people identify with Andy, or in our case, someone like Victoria. But I think that those assumptions could be more nuanced. I'm really pushing on the sadism here, but what if people actually project themselves onto Miranda as a way of indulging their own thirst for power and dominance through them? This is an open question. Actually, tell me, what do you think is this fascination with personal assistants and more broadly with people serving the rich? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe if it's not already done. If you like the work we do, if you want to support it, I have a Patreon page where you can make little monthly donations in exchange for little perks. Speaking of patrons, I would like to say a big thank you to them. And a special thank to top tier patrons. I'm literally a fork. Ahmed, Shunak, Sibev, Jose, Nofol, Fred, Hong Ching Wang, Paul Louis Agenot, Patrick Button, Jeff Lee, Taya Matin, Nick, Jim Siddle, Ojwal, Patrick Riley, Boris, Ria, Corrigi, Tristan, Christopher, Jan, Donage, Alex, Manuel, Christopher France, and Perry, and thank you to the other ones who prefer to stay anonymous. That's it for me, that's it for today. I'll see you very soon. Salut! People. I'm really pushing that sadism button there.